Hello, hello, and welcome to Keep Calm for Moms, where we talk about what it means to parent the next generation with grace and ease. So, oh my goodness, today we're going to talk about something really exciting in the way of teens thinking about their career options. I get questions all the time around what they may want to do for the future and how to explore different careers. And we're going to talk about a career today that many of you may not think of as exciting and glamorous, but you know something, for those professionals who are in it, it is. And so let me tell you, we're going to be talking about the accounting career and just some of the avenues that students have in that profession. So let me just welcome you again. And if you're watching this on replay, I want you to type replay in the chat so we know that you're there and you're listening. But this is going to be a great time to really think about what it is that your teen may want to consider as it relates to their college major and as it relates to some of the things that they may want to do even after college. Okay. And so let me just step back for a minute and introduce myself. I get so excited when I'm doing these lives that I may forget my name. But let me tell you a little bit about who I am and how this show came about. So I'm Dr. Pamela Ellis, the education doctor, and we partner with busy moms to help their teen find a college that feels like home without overpaying. And the results of our work is that 95% of our clients are admitted to their top choice colleges, and the average scholarship is $75,000. Now, we have this proprietary framework that really, gives students and their parents a framework, a structure for how to go about the process. And it's called Keep Calm. The CALM stands for College and Accelerated Leadership Methodology. And there are 5 pillars of Keep Calm, which is academic, social, financial, vocational, and cultural. Now, this particular program, our Boss Mom series, is where we talk to busy moms about their career journey, talk about work-life integration. And today I have an exciting guest who's coming on to talk about her role in the accounting field. And I am just so excited to bring on Melanie Gerosa. Melanie, come on up. Hey, how are you?
Good. How
Good
are
to
you?
see you. Really good to see you. I'm doing well today. I'm doing well. So, Melanie, I want you to start out by just kind of introducing who you are as a mom. Tell us about that.
Sure. So, as a mom, my identity, I have 2 children, ages 12
Uh-huh.
and 14. My son Gianni is 12 and he's in the 6th grade, and Giada is 14 and she's in the 8th grade. So, I have
Yeah.
teenagers, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting in a lot of ways. And so we'll definitely get into that. We'll definitely get into that. Now, tell us a little bit about what you do in your profession, because it's a little bit different than being an accountant as we know of an accountant and what they do. So
Yep.
tell us a little bit about that.
So I started out in a very traditional path. Maybe I'll just kind of give you the
Hmm.
history. Today, I work for an accounting consulting firm, Kaiser Consulting, and I've had several roles there. I'm really in the process right now of changing roles, but I started out as a consultant, an accounting consultant, and did that for about 2 years. And then I moved into a sales role and was in business development for about 5 years. And just
Mm,
within the last couple of weeks, I've accepted a new role as director of our recruiting. So ironically, even though these are all
mhm.
accounting related, in the consultant role, I was actually doing accounting, right, and financial
Yeah.
type things. But the last 2 roles, I have not been doing that. And I really enjoy more operational type roles. And
Mm,
this has allowed me to do that. But starting very early in my career, my degree was in accounting and finance. That is where I
yeah.
started. And I took a very
Hmm.
traditional path, worked for a CPA firm for 2 years, got my
Yeah.
CPA certification, and then,
Hmm.
like many people did, went to work for a client. I went to work for the Imes company, and Imes was ultimately acquired by
Hmm.
Procter and Gamble, a very large consumer products
Yeah.
company that a lot of people are
Yeah.
familiar with. And I spent
Hmm.
about 13 years with them. And
Yeah.
then kind of after that was when I went into consulting
Hmm.
with another firm for a little while, and then eventually came to Kaiser, where I've been now for about the past 8 years.
Yeah. Now, that's what you just said in terms of, starting out in accounting and
Mhm.
finance is a conversation I was having recently with a student because I was talking with a student about, looking at summer opportunities,
Mhm.
and he was saying that he wanted to do engineering sales. And I'm
Mhm.
just like, well, that's great, but usually you have to either do engineering or you're going to do business as a
Yeah,
major. I mean, I don't know of any colleges that have engineering sales, and I'm
right.
sure there are probably aren't any colleges that have accounting business development or
Right.
accounting
No,
recruiting, but
no.
that's
No.
something where you start out in one specific area and then branch. Now,
Right.
did you I think a lot of times I'm kind of um I have so many thoughts and so many questions I want to ask you, but do you feel that it's important to have that kind of big four, big five
Yeah.
accounting experience before going to work for a client in
It
the
is, it's
path?
really
Yeah.
great. It pays off in so many ways. I mean, if you truly know that that's not your path, then it's fine if you wanna go straight into industry. I mean, there are still lots of great opportunities, there
Hmm.
really are. But even if you just do it for a couple of years,
Yeah.
there really is just no better, it's almost like an
Hmm.
extension of your formalized education, really.
Yeah.
And people will always, to this day, I mean, I'm almost now 30 years out, will always recognize, that it
Yeah.
was big 8 when
Hmm.
I was, 30 years ago.
It's
So
dwindling
the
down.
number of firms have dwindled,
Yeah.
but people will always recognize that, and they realize
Mhm.
the reputation of those firms, and
Yeah.
the education that you get there, really, that's really truly what it is.
Hmm.
The training that you get there is really an
Yeah.
extension of your formalized education, and you get
Hmm.
to know, typically that's how you're going to find your next job. Because
Yeah.
you get to, the thing I loved about public accounting and even consulting is that you really get to learn companies from the inside out without committing to
Hmm.
going to go work for them.
Yeah.
So you can go and work for a company, and if you're on a client at a big four, you might spend the bulk of your time at two clients throughout the year. So you're going to
Yeah.
get to know the people, the culture, how they
Mm.
operate from the inside out without committing to go work for them. And most
Mhm.
likely, after spending half of your year there for a couple of
Yeah.
years, there's a decent chance you can get a job there if you'd like, or it might be the
Yeah.
type of company that you're like, no, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's not for me.
Mhm.
Learn that
Yeah.
without committing to working for the company. So I still say public accounting, it is just such a good education um,
Mhm.
that, I would highly recommend it for anyone that is,
Yeah.
especially if you want the CPA certification,
Yeah.
that's particularly important.
Yeah. Now, did you know in high school that you wanted to do this? How
No,
did you,
no.
come across accounting?
Basically, when I was in college, I was really
Uh-huh.
struggling. I was in the College of
Mhm.
Business, and I could not
Yeah.
decide for the life of me
Mhm.
what I wanted to do. And
Right.
accounting was not really on my radar. I mean, I like numbers, I enjoy
Mhm.
numbers, and I enjoy more finance than accounting,
Yeah.
than like the core closing of the books and
Mhm.
things like that, that don't sound as much fun.
Right.
Some people really like to do that, but that was not my thing. But
Mhm.
I remember really, and a couple of people, I had a couple professors and my brother
Mhm.
saying, look, and it goes back to your point of getting a
Yeah.
specific technical skill. So if you
Yeah.
want to sell engineering, you probably better learn something about engineering,
Yeah.
um, you know, and coming out of school with whether it's
Uh-huh.
IT or accounting, if you're in business,
Mhm.
my brother was like getting because you can get a
Yeah.
management degree, but no one's going
Yeah.
to hire you your first job out of school to be a manager for anything.
Right.
Because how are you going to manage anything if you don't know how to do it, right? So you
Right.
have to have done it, and you have to have some specific technical knowledge. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I did not know that accounting was, and I really it was kind of a shocking thing. And so I did, again,
Yeah.
I stuck it out for a couple of years and did kind of that
Uh-huh.
traditional accounting and
Yeah.
audit work. But then when I got to Procter and Gamble, the company was
Mhm.
so large that it afforded me many
Yeah.
opportunities to do more operational type roles, where I
Mm.
was a finance
Yeah.
manager, but I wasn't sitting at a desk doing spreadsheets all day. I was working with Walmart and their customer service
Mm.
team and managing trade
Yeah.
fund payments and things of that sort, and managing
Hmm.
managing
Yeah.
processes and making sure that there were controls over those processes. So it was
Mm.
really more that allowed me to be more on the front lines of the business and was really
Yeah.
interesting to me versus just counting
Hmm.
the beans, right? As they say,
Yeah.
accountants do.
Yeah. And that's interesting. You talk about the big company experience in that way, because it seems that, over the last few years, there's been more of an interest in
Mhm.
smaller
Yep,
companies and just having that kind of flexibility, the innovation that comes with it. But, there's still merit, in some ways in looking at a larger company, as you explained, as
absolutely.
far as the variation in the different opportunities that you have.
Mhm.
Now, one of the things that our listeners may not know, and for those of you who are just joining, we're talking about the exciting and glamorous field of accounting, and just some of the things that may be a consideration for your teens if they're open to it.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that uh, some of our listeners may not know about Kaiser is that it's a woman owned firm.
Mhm. Yes.
How is that different?
Oh, it's great.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, I mean, I'm just proud beyond belief every day to be part of the
Mhm.
firm, particularly because of our part-time flexible work options that we have.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of the firm. When
Now,
Lori
have you
Kaiser
always had those?
at Kaiser, yes,
Yeah. So
yes.
even pre-COVID, you had
Yes,
part-time flexible.
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
forward
It's
thinking. Mhm.
our yes, forward thinking, and our founder Lori Kaiser really was a visionary in
Mhm.
that regard. When she started the company 30 years ago, she too was working for a Big Four public accounting firm. She was
Yeah.
with KPMG, and she loved public accounting. She loved helping her
Mhm.
clients. She loved working around a lot of really smart
Mhm.
people that you get to work around when you work for a Big
Yeah.
Four firm. But as she
Mhm.
started to have her children, she realized that the excessive hours and the
Mm.
travel was just
Yeah.
more than what she wanted to do as she was going through
Right.
those stages of life with her young children. So she
Mm.
quit, and she didn't know initially what she was going to do when she
Mhm.
quit. But one of her
Yeah.
former clients, again, she had been
Mhm.
spending the bulk of her time at Honda, and
Yeah.
Honda called her up and they said, "Hey, would you like to do a project for us?" And she said, "We
Mm.
heard you quit." And she said, "Sure." So she took on a project, then she took on
Mm.
another one, and then she took on
Wow.
another one, and next thing you knew, it was more than what she could handle, but it was 30 years ago, so there were some like-minded individuals, other
Wow.
women that she knew of that were in similar type
Mhm.
situations that she could trust, that she brought in, and the next thing
Yeah.
you know, she had a consulting firm of about 5 people.
Wow.
She really wasn't intending on doing
Mhm.
that, but from
Yeah.
that beginning to today, fast forward where we have 85
Mhm.
employees, we
Yeah.
offer part-time flexible work options for professionals. So they're professional
Wow.
jobs, and we offer part-time flexible work options. And our clients love it too,
Mhm.
because sometimes clients have a project that they've been wanting to get done, but they don't have the budget for
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
they might have a budget for half of a person, right? Or
Mhm.
half of those hours that they normally would have.
Yeah.
So a lot of consulting firms don't offer that as an option. So they really
Mhm.
appreciate our flexibility in that regard as well too.
Yeah. Now, in your new role in recruiting and then what you've formerly done in business development, are you doing that part-time
Yes,
or
for sure.
really?
Yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
Okay. I
And
don't think I realized
I'm a
that.
shareholder in the firm as
Uh-huh.
our we have 6 other ladies that are shareholders in the firm, and they
Yeah.
all work a reduced schedule.
Everyone.
Yes,
Really?
yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that,
Yes.
Melanie.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
some of them work closer to that 40 hours, but
Yeah.
no one is working that, 50 plus hour work week. That's just not part of
Really?
our philosophy, because our philosophy is you're going to get more out of people if
Mm.
we've really flipped the employment model and said, we ask people how many hours they want to work. And so they
Wow.
fill out every 6 months, they complete on a spreadsheet that we upload into our system what their optimum and maximum hours are. And every week we sit down as a management team and we run a report, and to see anyone that's plus or minus 6 hours difference from their optimum
Okay.
range. And, if
Really?
they're off by 1 week, it might be fine. But
Yeah.
if they're off 2, 3, 4 weeks and they're
Mm-hmm.
over or under 6 hours
Yeah.
of what their optimum is, then
Huh.
our client service directors are going to be giving them a call and saying, hey, what's going on your project? Is everything okay? I see you've been working
Yeah.
more.
Mm-hmm.
And they might say, you know what, it's fine. The client's going through a little bit of a
Right.
spurt here and they need my
Mm-hmm.
help, and it's fine. I can handle it. Or they might say, you know what, it's
Mm-hmm.
been 2 weeks. Next week, it's going to drop back down. I'm good. Or they might say, no, I need some help. Can you intervene with the client and let's try and figure out a way? I mean, we're always going to do in the end,
Really?
we're going to meet the client's needs, right? But it might be that we bring in somebody else to help out that consultant. If they've been working too many hours, we might bring in another body to help them, kind of get back to the
Right.
point where, but yes, that's how it's real. And in those weekly meetings, I
Hmm.
often hear people talk about, oh, so-and-so has a senior this year, so we need to keep that in mind, because
Yeah.
they're doing college planning visits, they're planning for graduation parties, things of that sort. So-and-so has a sick
Wow.
family member right now that they're helping out. And it's when I hear those things in that weekly meeting that it makes me so proud and just glad and thankful for the company that I work for, because we really
Hmm.
truly are watching out for people, and
Yeah.
we realize by doing
Mm-hmm.
that we're going to get the best out of them.
Wow. I did not realize that. And we've had a couple of different
Yeah,
conversations, but I did
yeah,
not realize that when you say part-time flexible,
yes,
that is real. Just like
yes.
you said, it's real. Oh my goodness. Wow. And so how do you think that supports you as a mom in terms of being present for
It
your
definitely supports me
team?
as a mom. I mean, it allows me
Hmm.
to be part of my kids' lives, sometimes in the boring ways, right? It might be
Yeah.
just being able to take my kids to their appointments, and being
Mm.
able to do that,
Yeah.
a doctor's appointment, an orthodontist appointment, which we have lots of with braces, right? And sometimes those are I
Yeah.
always remind myself
Mhm.
as a mom, sometimes those are the boring things, but it's like, if I were working a
Yeah.
50 or 60-hour a week job,
Yeah.
I would have to find someone else to do that, right? For
Yeah.
me, or it would
Yeah.
always be my husband doing it rather than me. And so
Mhm.
it allows me to, get them to their appointments.
Yeah.
It allows me to get them to all of their sports activities, which at this age that they're at right now
Yeah.
is significant. So my daughter
Yeah.
just recently started,
Mhm.
even though she's in eighth grade, they've already
Mhm.
started weight training for lifting weights
Really?
for soccer.
Oh,
For
wow.
soccer tryouts. And,
Yeah.
they say they're mandatory, but they're not really mandatory. Or I'm sorry,
Right.
they say they're optional, but they're not
Really optional. Yes.
they're really mandatory, right? And so, but those are like at 4:30. They're like
Yeah.
3:30 to 4:30. So it allows me
Mhm.
to be part of, certain days I may have a meeting. And
Yeah.
that's part of the whole flexibility thing is, as an
Yeah.
employee, I need to be flexible. And there are days when I need
Mhm.
to step back on the mom thing and say, no, today I can't do it. I can't be the
Yeah.
carpool driver. But then there are other days when I
Mhm.
can do it. And at least I can be a participant in that versus, maybe needing to have a nanny. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it just,
Yeah.
for me personally, it has allowed me to just be part of my kids' lives. Again,
Yeah.
some of it are the boring
Mhm.
ways of being part of my kids' lives, driving them around
Yeah.
somewhere. But at this age of their life, that's where they need
Yeah.
me because they're not yet
Exactly.
driving. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Now this is kind of random, but do you have much turnover?
No, that's actually why
Mhm.
our clients love us
Yeah.
because when we send someone out on a project, we're really committed to
Mhm.
keeping them there. And if the project, we try to stay in constant communication. That way, if the project
Yeah.
if lasts longer than what they think,
Mhm.
we are always give them right of first refusal to keep that consultant versus,
Yeah.
us bringing in someone new that they have to retrain and whatever. But so our clients love that, and we can send them the same consultant back for year-over-year projects. When we have like an audit
Wow.
project that is
Hmm.
repetitive year over year, we can
Yeah.
send them that same staff back versus sending them someone new.
New.
If we had
Yeah.
turnover, then they have to
Hmm.
retrain them again and all of that stuff. So no,
Wow.
our turnover, especially for the consulting industry turnover is even higher than,
Yes.
average. So
Hmm.
it's very low. And again, it's
Yeah.
because we've been a 6-time best places to work
Wow.
organization. And I think,
Hmm.
our part-time flexible schedule really is why.
Wow. Wow. That's great. Now, one last thing is what are you looking for in terms of recruiting? I mean, like, are you taking kids straight from college or do they have to work for a big X and then come?
So ironically, so part of our niche also
Hmm.
is, unfortunately, we don't hire straight from school at this point in time, maybe
Yeah.
someday down the road. But
Hmm.
part of our niche also of our business model is
Yeah.
that we hire experienced professionals. So
Yeah.
minimum, typically 7 to 10 years of experience. Most of
Mm.
our folks actually have 10
Yeah.
plus, if not 15 plus years of
Yeah.
experience.
Hmm.
Accounting, finance, or IT audit. IT
Hmm.
compliance work are the areas of work that we do business in.
Yeah.
And we're looking for people who are open-minded, who have
Mm.
what we call the K factor. They're professional,
Yeah.
open-minded, they're committed to
Hmm.
excellent customer
Hmm.
service, um,
Yeah.
and they're not shy or bashful. They want to learn from those
Hmm.
around them.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, no, not directly from school, but I would highly
Hmm.
encourage those young graduates or even people, if they haven't yet
Hmm.
decided,
Yeah.
accounting really is a great profession, and you don't have to
Hmm.
count beans your entire life if you want that as your profession. There are lots of
Yes.
avenues. Uh,
Yes.
you
And
get a
there's
lot of bang for
uh-huh.
your buck for a
Right.
4/5 year degree now with the
Hmm.
extra credits that you need to take the
Right.
CPA exam. I mean, it's
Uh-huh.
been a professional certification that's paid off well for
Yes.
me and many of others of my colleagues, for a
Hmm.
relatively, you're not having to go to school for 8 to 10 years, that type of a thing.
Right. 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 And shout out to the accounting summer programs for high school students. There
Yes.
are a few of those around, and it's a great way for students to start to learn about the accounting field and some of the expectations and network. And so that's really great to hear that there are still opportunities there in
Yep.
various ways. So already, Melanie, we're at our end of our time together, and I have three rapid wisdom
Okay.
questions for you. So the first one is, what is a book or some um, it could be a video, but what's a book usually that's informed the way you see being a mom?
Um, I can't think of a book. I've read books about parenting.
Hmm.
But I just think something that's always stuck with me was something that a friend said to me. And I don't know if this
Mm,
is what you're looking for, but
yeah.
a friend that my kids were just getting out of the toddler stage, and I was sad because
Mm,
they were, even though
mhm,
toddlers, you're physically tired from running around
yeah.
after them. It's like they're not so
Mhm,
cute and little anymore, and whatever. And she said, I've enjoyed every stage
mhm.
of my son's life, each stage more so than the previous one, because there's always
Yeah.
something interesting or new or different, because as they're getting older,
Mm,
it's cool to see them
yeah.
thrive and do things
Yes.
on their own and have
Hmm.
their own interests. And that has really always stuck with me. So it wasn't a book, but
Yeah.
something that a friend who has older kids said to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. That's acceptable. I've had all kinds of
Okay.
answers to that question. Well, here's the second one. In 3 words, the truth about work-life balance is what?
um I would say just one word. I would say flexibility. And I would say
Hmm.
flexibility in terms of the employer, correct, right? That they have the
Yeah.
mindset and the
Hmm.
openness to it. And then, as
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
as the employee, you have to communicate in an excellent
Hmm.
manner. You have to over
Yeah.
communicate, right? Because if you're working a
Yes.
reduced schedule, you have to keep
Hmm.
your clients involved. They have to
Right.
know exactly what's going on, your colleagues, anybody else you may work with.
Hmm.
So communication
Yeah.
is important, and then you being flexible you know, that flexibility,
Right.
you being flexible. And some days you have to give
Hmm.
a little bit more here or there
Yeah.
that, you know,
Yes.
um, so I would say flexibility.
Okay, that's good. And the third one is, if you could have a do-over as a mom, what would it be?
I would just say when I was little, when the kids were
Hmm.
little, I felt like my husband was always the one like on the
Yeah.
ground, on the floor playing with them, and I was the one,
Mm.
you know, cooking or doing this or doing that, maybe, you know, writing something up for their
Yeah.
preschool, the filling out the forms or whatever, and just
Yeah.
I wish I would have spent more time on the ground when they were little playing with them, like doing the fun, you know,
Mm.
that type of stuff. Um,
Yeah.
but you can't beat yourself up too hard. You have to say, you know, the things that I was doing were important as well too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that would be what I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful. So thank you. Thank you,
You're welcome.
Melanie.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. How can our listeners learn more about Kaiser?
I would say
Because
check
it,
out our website. Go to
mhm,
kaiserconsulting.com,
yeah.
and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'd be more than happy to talk to them about Kaiser, particularly if they're looking for an accounting job.
Yes. Okay. And they have 7 to 10 years experience
That's
too.
right, that's right.
Yes.
But I would also be more than happy to talk to any
Uh-huh.
students or any students or anyone who might be considering the accounting profession. I
Mhm.
would be more than happy to talk to them about it. So they
Yeah.
too can feel free to reach out to me. I would be glad to do that.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Bye. So, thank you all again for joining. And one of the things I forgot to say earlier, for those of you, like Melanie mentioned, who are in this whole process, I want you to make sure to get our college prep toolkit. And that's available to you, which has all the resources and things you need for handling this whole process. And thanks again for Melanie joining us, because that was a great conversation about accounting, and one that, really opens up all of those other avenues for what your team may do in terms of accounting or finance if they're interested in numbers and that field. So thanks again, and I look forward to seeing you next time on Keep Calm for Moms. Take care.